go outside. We can hang out on the beach without freezing. Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Welcome to Crafty Beach. This is Julie, and today I have 7 new coastal Thanksgiving DIYs for you using supplies from the Dollar Tree. So you guys know I love to do coastal for every holiday. And first I want to show you, I did replace my mat, and a lot of you guys have asked which one I use. And so I thought I would show you because I just received it from Amazon. It is the 2-foot by 3-foot silicone monster mat. And I do have this linked in my Amazon shop below. I absolutely love these things and they last a really long time. So I have a fresh, clean white one, so I thought I would show it to you. I do craft in my garage, so this does a good job covering like my entire work surface. And then I also purchased a replacement Ryobi hot glue gun. And one of y'all told me that I could replace the tip on it, which I did not know at all. So I'm going to try switching them out to these tips that I also got on Amazon for a smaller diameter hole on there. And we're going to test that out in today's video and let you know what I think about that. I've had one of these for years and years and years, and it was kind of just burnt up because I've used it so much. But these are the battery operated ones and I love them. So I tried the smaller version, not a fan. I had to send it back a couple of times, but I absolutely love this size. So whenever you guys buy something from my Amazon shop, I do get a small commission that I can use for gift cards to buy stuff like this for the YouTube channel. So thank you so much. So this DIY, we're going to turn one of these little galvanized metal pots that I just got at the Dollar Tree and some of these little metallic salad plates into a really cute coastal pilgrim hat. So I thought these plates were the perfect size. These are the party plates kind of in the wedding section at Dollar Tree. And I'm going to use a couple of them just because they're thin, but I like the fact they're already metallic. Because we are going to leave the galvanized metal finish on the little pilgrim hat. I think it's going to go with the coastal feel. The only challenge of this pot is getting that super sticky label off the bottom of it. But I think we're going to have success here. I'm going to use it, galvanized metal, unfinished, and then using the twine that's wrapped around the top of the pot. When I have it upside down like this, that's going to act like the strap on the little pilgrim hat. So I thought this was going to be an easy DIY and it turned out really cute. Now for the buckle, I just picked out some felt. I had this beautiful light blue felt left over from Easter. And so I'm just going to use a tiny little square of that to cut out a little buckle. I was trying to think of something to use for this, and I really wanted like a soft beachy blue color. So I think this is going to be perfect, and it's easy to work with too. You just have to kind of cut a smaller square inside your larger square, and you can just do that by folding it. And then it's going to leave you a cute little square cut out that you can use for a buckle. And I love the fact that the twine is already on this pot. It just saved me a step. But if you only have like a galvanized metal bucket that doesn't have the twine wrapped around it, you could easily recreate that by wrapping yours with twine. So I'm just going to go ahead and hot glue mine on. I don't want it to overlap the bottom too much, but I want the opening to be covered up by rope there on the inside. And then gluing the top on as well. Now, the galvanized metal finish is kind of like a blotchy metal finish. So I'm going to do a little bit of a makeover on the salad plates to kind of give them that blotchy metallic look too, so that it will coordinate a little bit better with the pot. But that's what the buckle looks like. And the twine looks pretty good, but I thought we could always burn off the fuzzies a little bit here to clean it up. And mine wasn't 100% attached either, so I'm going to go ahead and just glue that one back down. And I think we're finished with that part of the pilgrim hat. Now, when you sit it on there, as you can see, there is some of the white plate still visible, but I'm going to fill that all in with decor, so I think that's going to be fine. And again, those plates from the Dollar Tree are pretty flimsy, so I actually have 2 of them back to back just to make it a little bit thicker. You get a whole bunch in that package. Now to get that fun galvanized metal look, I just take some gray acrylic and just kind of blotch it all over. And then I just kind of dry it on there by dabbing like a paper towel all over to kind of give it that, you know, fun look. I thought maybe it was a little bit too distressed, so I followed that up with a baby wipe, and it did kind of like blend it in a little bit better. But in the end, I did get that look that I was going for. I kind of wish that I would have done this on the top of the hat too, because, as you can see, it's kind of shiny up there too. I might go back and do that now. Now, I told you I was using 2, so I'm going to go ahead and just glue them together just to make sure it stays together. That hot glue is hot. Did you see that smoke coming out from there? And then glue those together, and then we can just simply glue the pot on. You could do the top of your pilgrim hat with like other things too, like a sand bucket or something like that. But I really love the fact that I didn't have to paint this or anything. And I think that metallic look like that goes great with coastal decor. So I just glued it right to the center of the plate. And again, I know we have that little white ring around it, but we can fill that in with some Dollar Tree moss and some beachy items. So for the moss, we're going to use the brown floral moss. This is kind of messy, but it's that really small moss. So I don't need like a very large stripe of it around here. I just need enough to kind of cover that white area that I don't really want you to see. So I just put a bead of hot glue there and just start pushing little tiny amounts on this all the way around. Now I'm just going to decorate the perimeter of my pilgrim hat, but you could always go in and decorate the very top of yours too if you'd like. I did think about doing that. So just a little bead of hot glue, just a little bit of tiny bit of moss, because I still want you to see like the brim of the hat. And then I grabbed some things to decorate it with. I thought I was going to be able to do pumpkins and stuff like that, but I didn't really have any pumpkins that were quite small enough. So we're going to kind of fill it in with some little tiny beachy things. I thought a starfish would be perfect. I actually have a real one here from Amazon. It's pretty much the same size as the one from Dollar Tree. You could totally use that one if you have it. But I just want to kind of glue it to the side of the buckle so you can still see the buckle. So I just do a couple dots of hot glue to glue that kind of standing up. It's kind of a large piece, but it's kind of a statement piece there for coastal decor. And then also a little glue here on the tip just to make sure that stays in place. Now, so far, what I'm not liking about that tip on the hot glue gun is I'm getting a lot of stringing, and it is kind of stringing glue on my workstation. It did get better the longer that I crafted, but I'm not sure why that was happening. I might have to try out a few more of the tips. Now for the seashells, I am just using those little mini seashells that you get in the little glass bottles at the Dollar Tree. I like to dump mine out so that they're a little bit easier to find and craft with. And I'm just going to glue an assortment of those all the way around the little pilgrim hat. And I thought it needed a little bit more, so I also have some of these little mini starfish. I get these on Amazon too. I have both these and the larger ones linked in my Amazon shop below under, I think, Beach Essentials. And they are great for crafting because they're so little and cute. So I'm just going to kind of scatter some of those out and maybe one more seashell. I think that's what I should have on merch. Maybe one more seashell because I'm always adding one more shell a project. And this is how it turned out, our little coastal pilgrim hat. I think this is so fun. You could use this on your Thanksgiving table or just sitting anywhere around your home to give you a little festive touch for Thanksgiving. I think it turned out really sweet and it was really easy to do with just a couple items there from the Dollar Tree. And it does kind of look like a little pilgrim hat, right? I think that was really fun and a great way to get started with today's Coastal Thanksgiving DIYs. For this second one, I decided to get really creative. I am going to use one of these little bamboo rings from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to use the smaller one. And then I picked out 5 packages of rope, and I think that was exactly what I ended up using on this one. This is your wider rope, not the real skinny kind from Dollar Tree, but the brown rope. And we are going to make a DIY cornucopia with this. And I'm so excited with how it turned out. Now to start with, I just loop the end like that. And it doesn't matter if you still have your tape on it because you're not going to be able to see this part. And I just glue that part together and then just start wrapping from the end around. This is going to be the very tip of the tail of my cornucopia. And we are going to fill this up with all kinds of beach and fun coastal decor. So I wrapped it around another time there, and then I added hot glue to my little loop that I'm using kind of as just a starter piece and glued that right around too. Now I'm going to kind of, the tail part's going to be kind of skinny like this. I just kind of keep wrapping. I'm hot gluing it to the rope in the center, but also to each other because I don't want any gaps. I want them to sit right next to each other. And we're going to build the entire cornucopia this way. I saw lots of different plans people have made, like where you can make them with fishing wire and then cover that with burlap and then wrap it with rope. But man, that sounded really repetitive. And I want you to be able to see the inside of my cornucopia. And I want that part to be pretty too, not necessarily chicken wire. So I decided to see if I could develop a different way to make it. So as you can see, as I'm doing it, I'm kind of going a little bit wider each time. And I can do that by just putting the hot glue towards the outside of the rope and then wrapping it around. I'm also curving it a little bit as I wrap so I could get like that little curved point right there. If you ever notice any of your rope is not stuck together, just put a little bit of hot glue back in there until you get a tight bond in between each one. You do have to glue it all the way around. So not only does this project take a lot of rope, it also takes a lot of glue. Now I thought if I put a little piece of wire, this is some thicker wire from Dollar Tree, in the tip, I can make it moldable later if I needed to curve this back up. And I thought that might help me kind of keep a curved shape here at first. So I just cut off a little piece, put that down in there, and then that's a nice thick wire, so I should be able to bend it later if I need to. And then I want to go wider and wider, so I'm making sure that I do the hot glue towards the edges of the rope, gluing that to itself like that. Now I'm going to have lots of starts and stops with the rope today since I'm making a large cornucopia with this, and you just try to hide it the best that you can. Just trying to get as tight of a joint as you can in between two pieces and just continue on. You can always go back later and add a little bit more hot glue to that and work with it until you can kind of blend that in a little bit. And I'm kind of using my wire as a guide too, so I know kind of exactly how much I want to curve it, because this part is really important for the curve part of the cornucopia to give it that traditional cornucopia shape. And as you can see, I am really going around the outsides now with that hot glue and making it larger and larger. My goal is to get it large enough to fit inside that little wood bamboo ring from the Dollar Tree. I thought that would give it structure since we're not using any kind of chicken wire or anything like that. That will give it structure to make sure the mouth of it is round and stays open, but it's just a matter of building it out. And I think this turned out really cute. I've done like cornucopias and stuff before, but I usually use like thrifted items and stuff like that. And I really love how this one turned out. It was so fun. It does take a little time. I think I spent an hour in actual time making this. So be prepared for that, but it is so fun. Now, if you didn't want to use it for coastal Thanksgiving, you could totally use it for a traditional Thanksgiving theme too. And put like fruits and different kinds of traditional like cornucopia stuff inside. And that would be really cute. Maybe some little pumpkins and stuff like that. Now, here is my next package. Again, I just try to blend in where I start and stop and just continue on gluing this to each other. Just have to make sure that you get hot glue on it. I was pretty fast that I could go all the way around with like one swoop without my glue drying before I could kind of lay that down. And that kind of sped up the process a little bit. So I would just go all the way around. Now, once I got to this point, I wanted it to be wider and wider and wider, right? So it could be big enough for that wood ring, but I don't necessarily want the bottom part to be any wider because I want it to lay flat like this. So what I'm doing now is I'm specifically putting the glue in the middle on the bottom, but then I am going around the outside perimeter with the glue all the way else, all like the sides, the top, if you know what I mean, to try to make it bigger and bigger, but not make the bottom any wider, to kind of give it like kind of a flatter edge down there. And we are getting there. Let's go ahead and open another package. And the bend was not perfect for me on this, but I think it definitely has that fun cornucopia shape. So again, I just start and stop. I'm really not lining those up on any particular side. It's going to have joints here and there on it, just the way it works when you are working with the rope. I keep measuring with my little wood ring there too to see how big, how much bigger I need it to be. And the rope itself is giving you all the structure. So anytime you see any gaps or anything that's not holding, I would just go back and fill that in with hot glue as soon as you can. And this is getting about the right size. So let's finish off this piece of rope and see if it's large enough. And I think that is big enough. I'm gonna just kind of, rearrange this, kind of feel it out, make sure everything is, shaped exactly the way I want it to be. You can shape it slightly. And then the little bamboo ring, I'm gonna wrap that around the edge like that where I can attach it to it. So I think that's gonna work. So I do a bead of hot glue all the way around. And I'm going to put the wood ring on there to glue that on. We're going to cover that up with more Dollar Tree rope. I do want it to be kind of flat here on the end where I started and stopped though. So I am going to have to trim up that last piece of rope to kind of blend that in. And so I just do that with my scissors by trimming that off. And I have that piece glued on, so that provides a little bit of structure. But then if I go around it with more Dollar Tree rope, then I can like finish that off and give it like a finished edge. And it should be a little bit larger around the perimeter here. So I think that's gonna work. I just start right here in the front, right on the bottom, hot gluing kind of the rope to itself right there. And we are just going to go around, and the first row, we just hot glue to that first row of rope that we have there until we go all the way around. And then we can just start looping that around. This time we're gluing it to the wood. And then just keep that spiral fashion going until we cover up all of the wood ring, and it just provides a nice bit of structure there to a pretty much structureless cornucopia. And I'm pretty much going to use all my rope, but I might as well make the seam on the bottom. So I'm going to cut it off there, hot gluing that tip down. Isn't that cool? I think it turned out really fun. I was really happy with it. Now you are going to have to clean up any excess hot glue. I like to use my heat gun to kind of melt it down because sometimes I get a little crazy with too much hot glue, but I don't really want any of the hot glue to be visible. I just really want that beautiful rope to show through. And I think that's just a really fun variation of the cornucopia, and it's definitely coastal for sure since it's made out of rope. I also go back and find any of my little joints in there, make sure they're tight, and hot glue them if they need it. That's what it looks like on the inside, so that's one reason I wanted to do it this way. So it would be pretty inside and out in case you can see in there. And I have a few areas I just need to glue just to make them a little bit tighter. I'm pretty much checking the whole thing for integrity. And then we can fill this up with some fun beachy supplies. Whenever I work with rope, though, I like to burn off all the fuzzies. I think it always just cleans it up a little bit. And the rope from the Dollar Tree can be a little bit rough. So I'm just going to do that by taking a lighter all around it to burn all of those off. Now, if you don't have Dollar Tree rope and you have like a thicker brown rope, this project would be even easier because, of course, you know, the thicker the rope, the less you're going to have to wrap it around and glue it to itself. So probably would speed the process up a little bit, but I definitely wanted to do a Dollar Tree version. So I picked out a lot of beachy items and we can see what we can fill this fun cornucopia up with. I'm going to start with some of the Dollar Tree Spanish moss. I think that's going to look good inside in there. And it's going to provide a nice filler. And I want some of it like spilling out of the cornucopia. And we're just going to fill it up with pumpkins and some beachy items. You could use seashells, gourds, whatever you have. I was kind of thinking, do I want to do like the sweater pumpkins? And I think that's going to look cool because I have some great colors that's going to go with the beachy decor. This first one was on a pick from the Dollar Tree, but I loved it because it was like a light blue, a little sweater pumpkin. And so I just used my heat gun to try to melt the glue so I can get that cutie off, and we can just sit that right inside now. That's going to be like my largest one. And then they also have these little blue sweater pumpkins from the Dollar Tree that have the little clips on the bottom of them, which is great because I can just clip that into the Spanish moss to keep that right in place. And I'm trying to do like different colors. So I also picked up some of like the lighter burlap ones too. I do want to add some leaves too though. So I thought these little burlap oak leaves from the Dollar Tree would be perfect. I don't really need the wire to be on them though, so I'm just peeling the wire off the back. And we can kind of have those coming out of the cornucopia as well. It's going to provide like a fun little fall touch. And the burlap pattern definitely goes with the beachy feel. So I kind of put one on each side. You can kind of just lay them in there like I'm doing. I do hot glue a few items in place just to kind of make sure they stay together. And then this was the other color I was talking about, and it does have a clip on the bottom too, so I can just pop that in there, clip that to the Spanish moss, and that'll help keep that in place too. And that pretty much fills up the cornucopia, but of course I wanted to do some beachy items too, so we're going to keep like kind of filling this out. I thought one of these sand dollars from the Dollar Tree would be really cute. Just trying to figure out how to get that to fit. And then I'm going to do another one of those little burlap fall leaves to kind of make it come out a little bit more right here in front. Because again, I do want it to look like a cornucopia, like spilling out. But I do want to try to keep the items kind of attached to each other if I can. Now, since I have the leaves coming out, I kind of want the Spanish moss to come out too. So I just fill it in a little bit more with Spanish moss and then kind of pile some like falling out of the cornucopia too that I can attach to that leaf there with a little hot glue to kind of keep that all together. And just making sure it's nice and full with the Spanish moss while I have it out. Then for the sand dollar, I couldn't really get it to fit in the cornucopia, so I thought we could kind of attach it to the side like this where you can see it. So I just do a little bead of hot glue and glue that to the side of my cornucopia. If you want to change out your cornucopia every year, you're probably going to want to avoid hot gluing it to it, but I will probably leave this the same because I think it turned out so cute and beachy. So I wanted to do like a variety. So I've got like the different colors of blues and tans, the burlap, the Spanish moss. I thought, of course, a Dollar Tree starfish would be really cute too. Just trying to figure out where to put it. And then like just a seashell from the beach. I had like a little bleached seashell. I just kind of sit inside where you can kind of see that. And I also hot glue down the larger pumpkin to kind of keep it in place because that one did not have a clip on the bottom. And we're going to hot glue the little starfish like right here, like it has fallen out of the cornucopia by gluing that to the little burlap leaf. And then I thought maybe one more of those little burlap leaves over here to kind of make it a little bit more symmetrical. And then I can glue another one of those seashells to that. I don't want it too much stuff, but I definitely want it to look full and beachy for fall. So since I did the Spanish moss underneath the other leaf, I did this one as well, just by gluing a little tiny piece of it underneath there. And I think this looks really fun. What do you guys think about my little coastal cornucopia for Thanksgiving? This is how it turned out. I think it's so fun. It really does have that cornucopia shape. It's nice and large. You could sit this again on your Thanksgiving table as part of the center of your table, but you could lay this around anywhere, a coffee table, even in your kitchen if you have room for it. And I think it's so fun for Thanksgiving. I love decorating for Thanksgiving. I hate it when everybody skips that holiday. Hey guys, I wanted to let you know that I've introduced memberships on my channel. For $4.99 a month, you're going to get early ad-free access to videos like this one and shout outs in every video. And it's just an easy way for you to support me here on YouTube. Now for the next DIY, I designed a really fun coastal Thanksgiving turkey, and I have a printable for you guys. So in the description below, you should be able to find this in my Google Drive and print it out for yourself. I made it 8.5 by 11. I printed it out as large as my printer will go on cardstock. And we're going to use one of these Dollar Tree frames to frame it out, kind of make it look like a canvas. Now, one thing I've noticed about these Dollar Tree signs is they always make the little hangers off-centered, and if you don't fix that right away, you're going to have a crooked picture. So I removed the side one because that gets in the way, and then I fixed the top one because I knew it was off-center just by looking at it. And you can use any of these. I like this one because it has a lighter wood frame, so I think that looks really coastal. I won't have to do anything to it. Just a matter of trimming down the sides on this. My printer, I had like a clogged inkjet on this, and oh my goodness, I ran so many cleanings and things to be able to print this out. It took me like 2 hours. So frustrating sometimes. That printer usually is fantastic. I don't know why it got clogged like that. Hopefully that doesn't happen again. So basically, I'm just going to trim this down to fit. It's not going to fit perfectly, but it's pretty much going to fill the whole thing in. And I think this image is so funny. It is a little turkey with shades on the beach. And then I added thankful for the beach. And it was really fun to make. I actually used AI to create that image, and it made me laugh. So I had to share it all with you guys. So I just do a thick coat of Mod Podge all over. I want it to be rather thick because the cardstock is a little bit heavier than a regular sheet of paper. And just lay that in there, trying to keep like the brown border parts, even if I can. If you don't get it on there perfect the first time, you do have a little bit of play with the cardstock versus paper. And so you can lift it and relay it on there if you need to. But that did kind of take the glue off the corner, so I am going to kind of touch that up. I want it to kind of look like a framed canvas, and so I really want it not to look like paper. So I go over the top of it as well to seal that down, and I'm using matte Mod Podge, and it's going to kind of give me like a texture, kind of like a painting. So I do like the brush marks and stuff in that as well. So I'm just going to do a brush for that. And give that a quick dry. This is going to help keep it on, make it more of a permanent decoration. And I also released this image on some of my merch. I did share a link to that in my YouTube community post and on Facebook, where I put this image like on a pillow or a t-shirt, an apron. I thought it was really fun, so I decided to have a little fun with this. And there it is, our little thankful for the beach. Super easy DIY, and that turkey is living his best life. Now, I didn't really like the fact that it was so bright, so I did go back with a little ivory acrylic, and we are just going to distress the whole thing. It's just going to kind of lighten this up, give it an aged, like coastal farmhouse vibe. I just wipe off the excess paint and blend it all in with a baby wipe, and then go back and dry that in. And it gave me just a more coastal farmhouse version of this, but that step is totally optional if you like it just as colorful as the image was. But I think this turned out really fun. I was really happy with how it turned out, and it makes me smile every time I look at it. I think I'm gonna hang this in between my kitchen and my dining room for Thanksgiving. And this one is definitely a keeper. So again, I will post a link to your free printable below with this image that I designed. And you can get creative with it. You can put this image on whatever you think would look good. But I think it turned out really fun. And it was so easy. Now for the next DIY, I decided to use one of these wood signs from the Dollar Tree as a base. One of the little shore living shells. I stock up on these every spring and summer because I love to craft with those. Those are so pretty. And then also one of the little shell bikini tops from the summer section at the Dollar Tree. And I'm going to combine the shells together to make a giant shell turkey like candle holder. So I thought if I combine the two shells like that this smaller plastic shell could be like the turkey body, and then the larger clear shell could be the turkey feathers. So stick with me here. It actually turned out pretty cool. Now to fill the holes in the little plastic shell here, I just used some masking tape on the back to kind of give it a back surface, and then fill in the holes with some Dollar Tree spackle. That way we can paint that shell and you won't see all those annoying plastic holes in there. I did bend some of them down a little bit just because they were a little notched with plastic, just with a pair of pliers, and went back and filled that back in with some spackle. Once that's dry, I can go over it with blue. I want the body of my turkey to be this beachy blue color. So I'm using Cloudless by Apple Barrel. And it's so easy to paint this, but I do use a brush to get down in between all that great grooves. The texture on that shell is really fun. Now, this is a summer item. These are usually available year-round at my stores just because they don't sell out. So if you don't have one, you still might be able to find one. Now for this shell. I think it's so pretty, but I wanted to try to kind of see if we could make it look like feathers. Now each section has like a little separate section with like 5 or 6 little lines. So I thought I would just use I have kind of a brownish gold paint pen, and I am just going to kind of paint those on the back of this to try to give me like a feather outline. It's not real obvious with the brown color, but I didn't want to use anything too dark, and I want you to be able to see through this because we're actually going to make this turkey into a candle holder. And I want to keep that clear essence of the sign. It is a little iridescent, as you can see, where it picks up many colors, which I don't necessarily like for this project. And so I'll show you how I kind of counteract that. But I just do the first one and the last one all the way around on these little sections, outlining that out. Once I have that all painted, then I can go around all of the edges with that same like goldish pen and trace it out to kind of finish out like my little feather shapes. And I've made like a smaller version of a shell turkey, so I thought I would try a larger version and see if I could get creative with it. So I think that looks pretty good. This is going to be the body of the turkey, and that is going to be the feathers. Now I do want to bring out that great texture on this part though, so I am going to distress it with a brush and a little ivory to bring out that great bumpy texture all over the little seashell to make it look fun. Now I want to make the neck and the head of the turkey, and I couldn't think of anything that was shaped like that. So we're going to use some Dollar Tree Model Magic. I picked up some white because we're going to paint it, doesn't matter. And I just roll it out like Play-Doh until I have a little turkey neck. I'm also bending it kind of like a turkey neck would be, like that. This is just like Play-Doh, but it does air dry, so you can totally make stuff with it. And then I just kind of mold a little ball here in the end to be the little turkey head. You do have to exercise a little patience with the clay just because you are going to have to let it dry. I'm not going to want to be that patient, but I do try to dry mine as much as I can with my heat gun to try to speed up the process. Finding out exactly where I want my little turkey neck to be, and then I just attach it with a little bit of hot glue right here. Kind of pushing that down and shaping that out against the shell. But as you can see, it kind of wants to fold back, so you kind of have to let it dry standing up. I also did another tiny piece to do a little triangular shape to do a little beak there for our turkey, and just added that to the head. So I don't want it to like kind of fall back on itself. I want it to kind of stick out from the turkey body like that. And so I think that looks pretty good. I am going to have to kind of stand it up though, so that it can dry without falling back with gravity. And then again, I did use my heat gun to try to speed that process up a little bit. And I'm thinking that it is going to be hard enough here where I can go ahead and paint my turkey. So I'm going to go in with that same cloudless color to kind of make that blend into the rest of my turkey. And just carefully paint this all around. I do want it to be textured. I do that step a little bit later. I'll show you how I kind of give it a wrinkly head just to give it a little bit more texture, because right now it's kind of really solid. So just carefully going in around behind the head and painting the neck and the face. And I can go back and distress that later too, once that dries a little bit more. As you can see, mine is like semi-dry. It's not super hard yet, but I needed to get this video out for y'all. Now for the shell. I told you I didn't really want the iridescence, even though it's beautiful. So I'm going to stain like the, it's going to be the back, so like the inside of the shell. And I'm just going to stain the whole thing with Antique Wax by Waverly. That way it's not thick like paint, so you can still see the light from the candle through it. But it's going to give me a brown feather, which was kind of more the shade I was looking for to go. My inspiration was a blue and like brownish coastal turkey. So I just go over the whole side. Make sure that you don't touch that. It does take a little bit for that to dry. The Antique Wax by Waverly directly on the plastic like that. But I did do a pretty good job. I'm just making sure I don't have any puddles with my sponge brush. And you can speed it up with a heat gun, and now it has that brownish tint. It's still a little bit iridescent too though. So as you can see, that's really pretty. Now, just a matter to try to figure out how to put this all together. I need to somehow glue this on. And then I kind of thought that I didn't really like the plasticky feel of this back shell. So I'm just going to go over the whole thing with some matte Mod Podge just to dull that down a little bit. And I think that's going to go better with the dull paint on the turkey. So a little bit less shiny, but still see-through. Tinted brown. Sealed down, and then we can attach our little turkey right here to the front. Now I have like a good area where I can kind of attach the top of it. The bottom part was a little bit trickier. So I'm just going to do a bead of hot glue right around the top because I do have a contact point between my two shells. Gluing that on, trying to keep my bottom shells as even as I can. I'm going to kind of put this sideways on that little sign that we're going to use for the base of it. So that's going to be a kind of a skinny sign. That way I can put the candle behind it, kind of like this. Now, I didn't really have a lot of area to glue down there because I just kind of have the tips of both of my shells. So I felt like I needed something to make it a little bit sturdier. So I was trying to think of what I can use, and I decided to use like one of these little Dollar Tree wood stems. You could probably use like the little Jenga blocks from the Dollar Tree too. I just needed something else to kind of add to the bottom. So I just glued one of those wood stems right inside that bottom shell where it's kind of hanging out a little bit. So I have something else that I can attach to the sign just because I want it to be strong and I don't want it to fall apart. Just like that. So I'm just going to let the hot glue set up on that. So that is attached to that piece of it. Then we can go back and glue down that, the plastic of both shells, all three things. And I glue it kind of right here to the front part because I want plenty of room to be able to put a candle on the back of this. So I just sit that on there, let my hot glue set up. It's actually stronger than I thought it would. So that kind of worked. I'm going to kind of fill in that little area with a little hot glue just to kind of reinforce that, make sure everything stays together. And then the candle part is super easy. I am going to use some of those little glass candles from the Dollar Tree. I absolutely love those. They're little like votive candles, but they're in glass and they're perfect for crafting. You get 2 in a package. So I'm just going to pop one off. You could just sit it back here like this if you want to switch yours out often. I'm going to kind of tack mine down with a little bit of hot glue just to make sure it stays in place. Now for the turkey head, we have it dry now so I can go back and distress it. So I'm going to go in and distress it with a little ivory, just like we did with the rest of the turkey body there. And then I'm also going to go in and kind of texturize it because I told you I wanted it to be wrinkly like an old wrinkly turkey head. So I just used a pencil and I'm just drawing little shapes in the clay. The clay is like semi set up now, but not so much that I can't still kind of texturize it like that. Now I am going to have to touch up my paint a little bit though, because the lead of the paint did kind of leave like a little bit of writing on it. And I just want that great wrinkly texture, not so much the lead. So I touched that back up with the blue. And there is our little turkey. He's looking super cute. And then we can just attach the candle to the back. Since I don't want mine sliding around, I'm just going to tack it down with a little bit of hot glue. That'll be easy enough to remove if I need to switch this out. But I have this burning next to me right now, and it looks so fun for Thanksgiving. So I tried to get really creative with this one, so you'll have to let me know what you think about my little seashell turkey candle holder. I bet you haven't seen one like this because it's totally unique. But I think it turned out really pretty. This is how mine looks in the daytime with my brown tinted feathers, my little shell blue turkey body, the clay set up nicely for the little neck and turkey head. You can't really tell it's a candle during the daytime because it's not lit up, but this is how it looks lit up during the day. And this is how it looks lit up at night. So I still got that clear effect on that back shell, and I'm really pleased with how it turned out. Now for the next DIY, I thought we could turn one of these little bottle cap signs from the Dollar Tree into a little mini pumpkin pie. We're going to do a little coastal version of this. For the pie itself, I'm using one of those little flat circle foam pieces from the Dollar Tree, styrofoam. And make sure you get the one that's small enough to fit inside the bottle cap. I think they do come in 2 different sizes. Now for the pumpkin pie, I picked up some of this adhesive cork from the Crafter Square at Dollar Tree, and it's just the right color for pumpkin pie. So I'm just going to lay my little circle on the back so I can trace that out with a Sharpie. And then I can cut that adhesive cork down to size. I love crafting with this stuff. It's really easy to cut. It's peel and stick, and I think this is going to give us a really fun texture for the top of our pumpkin pie. How we're going to make this coastal is we are going to use some Dollar Tree white nautical rope, and we're also going to display this little pie on a light blue beachy color for the candle holder, which is kind of be like a cake stand. So I just peel and stick the cork right directly to my foam. I didn't do a perfect job of cutting out my circle, so I just went around and kind of sanded off any of the excess, kind of shaping that up a little bit, but I'm going to have like the little pie crust edge going around the pie, and so that will kind of hide that. I put hot glue in the bottom of the little bottle cap and layer a little mini pumpkin pie right inside, gluing that in place. So that's what it looks like so far. And then for the pie crust, we're just using the Dollar Tree white rope. I have like a spare piece, the thicker white rope. It's going to fit, I think, nicely in there. I do want to kind of shape up the end here so it's not super frayed out because I don't really want you to be able to see the seam too much. And we are going to wrap that around the little pumpkin pie. It actually just fits perfectly in there. You can kind of wedge it between your pie and the sides of the little pie plate. Not really a pie plate, I think it looks like one, so we're going to make it look like that. So I wrap it all the way around, trimming off the excess, and then just kind of pushing that down in there, trying to blend in the edges. And that's going to give it a fun little coastal take for our little pumpkin pie. I think it's looking super sweet. Now for the whipped cream, we're going to use some of this all-purpose caulk and mastic from Dollar Tree. I didn't have any tips to do like a fancy whipped cream thing with this. So we're going to try our best here just by squeezing it out, doing a little dollop of whipped cream right in the middle of our pumpkin pie. And I did have to add to it. I kind of wanted it to look a little bit larger because it's not just like one slice. It is like an entire little pie. So I did kind of make it as big and as tall as I could. I do notice that after it sits a while, it does kind of flatten out a little bit. So you might need to add some more to yours. I'm going to let mine sit up a little bit. This is the blue candle holder that we're going to use for the little like pie stand. And as it dried, it did kind of flatten out a little bit. So I will add some more whipped topping to the top of that. But first, I'm just going to kind of tack mine on. You don't have to do this step, but I kind of like to keep my pieces all together. So I just do a bead of hot glue all around the candle holder and glue the metal pan in place. Just trying to make sure I get it centered on there. You might want to do this step before you add your whipped cream because it would have been easier to line this up if I had the pie like upside down. But right now, I don't want to mess up with my whipped cream. So since it flattened out, I did go back after it started to dry up a little bit and added more whipped cream so it'd make it kind of like stand up a little higher. You could also use spackle from the Dollar Tree mixed with white paint and kind of put that in an icing bag if you wanted. It's going to give you kind of a similar effect. And then I just used a popsicle stick to kind of swirl mine until I was happy with it. It's one of those things that if you work too much on it, it's not really going to look like whipped cream. So it kind of needs to look kind of unintentional. And this is how it turned out, our little mini pumpkin pie for Thanksgiving with a few coastal touches. We have the blue stand, the rope pie crust, and the galvanized metal little pie plate. I think this was really fun to put together and could be a quick, easy DIY that just about anyone could do. Hey guys, I wanted to take a quick moment out of today's video and let you know about my Facebook group. I always have it linked below. You'll get to see when I post new videos and you'll get to see what everyone else has been making. And I also have a Facebook page, Instagram, TikTok, and Pinterest. And all of my links are below. My handle is Crafty Beach on YouTube. Okay, for the next DIY, we're going to use one of these little Thanksgiving stencils from the fall section at the Dollar Tree right now. But we're going to give it a beachy makeover. I found these little signs from the Dollar Tree the other day that are almost the perfect size for the Dollar Tree canvases. And I picked up one of the little beach canvases to put inside. Now, it is a little tricky to work with this frame, so I'll show you what I did to kind of make mine work. As you can see, like, it fits in the inside of the frame. So it's a little bit smaller, but I think we can make this work. Now, the frame is black plastic. It's not super easy to paint because once you paint it, the paint kind of wants to come off if you distress it. So I'll kind of show you what I did. First, I mixed some ivory paint with some Antique Wax by Waverly. It's going to give you a really fun driftwood color. And then using a brush, I am just going around and painting inside, the top, the outside of all four sides. And you can still kind of see the black plastic through that, which is going to be fine. It's going to kind of tend to lend to more of a wood grain a little bit later on. Now, between all of your coats, you're going to have to make sure you give it a good dry with your heat gun, because again, keeping the paint on the plastic is the challenging part of kind of remaking this. I want this frame to look like a driftwood frame to kind of go with the beachy decor. So I'm going over all of the surfaces with that same tinted ivory paint that we did before, trying to cover up as much of the black as I can. Then I'm going to go back in with just straight Antique Wax by Waverly and start distressing all over, giving me that like faux wood grain. I just kind of follow the direction of the side. So I switch it up when I do the top and bottom. Kind of give me that faux wood grain, and I make sure I go over the inside and the outside of the frame too. I want everything to be covered with that wood grain. And then I went back and I was trying to kind of wipe it off with a paper towel, but it was taking the paint off as quickly as I can do it. So you got to be really careful with blending it here. I'm going to blend mine very carefully with a paper towel. And I will have to touch it up a little bit. You can see a little bit of the black peeking through. And that's kind of what I was talking about how this frame was a little bit challenging to paint, but we're going to get there in the end, I promise. So I'm kind of touching up any of the areas with that lighter color, that if the black was kind of shining back through. And then I didn't have quite enough paint, so I did have to mix a little bit more, kind of touch that up. So I was really not happy with this. Next time, I don't know if I will blend it with a paper towel next time I paint one of these frames, because again, it did kind of want to take that paint off and kind of make it back to the plastic. And I want this to definitely look like wood. So I went over it with that lighter color again, touching everything up. And then I'm going back in with the Antique Wax by Waverly and distressing everything. This time I switched to a baby white and very light pressure, and it worked a little bit better to blend it. Now for the canvas. I picked up this little beach scene this summer at Dollar Tree. I always like to check all their canvases. You can kind of find beach scenes year-round if you were lucky. I don't know if this was necessarily any specific line. And I found a great scene, and I thought we could just add one of those little give thanks stencils right to the front of the beach scene. So I thought that would be fun, a fun way to do coastal Thanksgiving. So I'm just going to line that up. It's almost the perfect size for these little square canvases from Dollar Tree, and tape that down with some painter's tape. Now for the paint, I'm using chalk paint. I'm using like this marshmallow color and a little stencil dauber from Dollar Tree, and just daubing all over with that. Now, I thought since I was using like a chalky acrylic, it would be thick enough to not bleed, but I actually got a lot of bleeding on this. I don't know if I need to use some kind of like stencil adhesive or something, or maybe it was the fact that the frame was only along the edges of the canvas, and so I didn't really have any pressure point from behind the canvas itself, but that's okay because we're going for Coastal Farmhouse anyway. So I'm going to want it to look distressed. So I'm going to kind of take advantage of that. So I just go over it with a baby wipe, trying to wipe off any of the excess bleeding and kind of whitewashing it a bit. I did have to touch up like one of the words to make it a little bit more legible. And then this top leaf really did not paint well. So I tried to touch it up a little bit. And then I realized I could just add my stencil back to it, touch it up that way. A little bit easier way to do that. But again, going for the Coastal Farmhouse look, so it's very forgiving. Now that we have our little give thanks all painted, we can pop that in our frame that we painted to look like driftwood. I think that looks really beautiful together. And then I just kind of have to figure out how to make this work. The staples were a little bit in the wrong place because there is like kind of a small gap between the canvas and the frame itself. So I didn't really think I was going to be able to attach it with the staples. I'm going to have to put the back on here, I think, to get this to work. So I just popped out all the staples with a pair of pliers, pulling those out, making sure you don't crack your frame when you do that. And then I'm just going to hot glue the back to the canvas and to the frame. By doing a bead of hot glue on both, laying the back on it, it's already got a hanger on it. So that is just a step saved with this DIY. And here is our little give thanks beach scene with our little driftwood frame. So basically 2 items from the Dollar Tree plus a Dollar Tree stencil. So very inexpensive to make, but it definitely gives you that coastal Thanksgiving vibe. You can make anything beachy or anything coastal. I do it for every single season. And I was happy with the frame in the end. It was a little bit more difficult to paint than I originally thought, but doesn't it look so much better than it did originally? Now for the next DIY, I thought we could do a fun tray. I wanted to do a coastal tray, but I also wanted to be a little bit fall because we're going to display some fun fall items on this. So we're going to start with just a Dollar Tree pizza pan. I know people make stuff with these all the time. I don't craft with them a lot, but sometimes they can be really useful. I like this because it is the perfect size for a tray. It's nice and strong. I want to cover the bottom of it with some removable wallpaper. This is that wallpaper from the Dollar Tree in my favorite blue palm beachy print. You know, I have not seen this print at Dollar Tree for months now. Have you guys not seen it at your stores too? I have stocked up so much on this, so I think I'm good for a while because it's my absolute favorite one. But I don't understand why they would discontinue this one because in my opinion, it is the prettiest one. So I just kind of creased it, kind of give a rough cut area where I can cut that down to fit inside. Doesn't have to be perfect. And it was not quite long enough, so I am going to have to use a strip of another piece to line that up. And the patterns do like match up perfectly like that. So I'm just going to cut that little tiny piece and we can kind of fit that all together to give me a seamless bottom. Now we're going to go around the sides of the tray with Dollar Tree rope. So if you wanted to go a little wider with that, you probably wouldn't have to do a second piece if you only had one piece of this removable wallpaper. I love this print, Dollar Tree. If you discontinued it, you need to bring it back. I'm just going to lay that down and peel and stick the little side piece as well. And then we can start building out the sides of the tray. Now, the sides of the pizza pan automatically go up already, so that's going to give me a little bit of area to kind of make edges for the tray. And also, I want to cover up the edges of the wallpaper to give myself a clean circle. I'm going to start like on the outside edge. So I just started here with a bead of hot glue along the outside of the pizza pan. I don't mind if the very edge of the metal is exposed. That's going to give me kind of a coastal feel, the metal and the rope. And then I'm just gluing that rope all the way around. This is the Dollar Tree brown rope that's a little bit thinner, so it's a little bit longer. And you could always use the thicker one as well, too. You would just have to go around not as many times. Once I go all the way around, I'm going to try to get that as tight as I can by bending it. And then continuing that around, hot gluing that along the edge. About 2 rows of this rope covers that pizza ledge there. And I think that is pretty good right there. So I cut that down to size, hot gluing that on. And then we can go back in with some more rope to kind of cover up the edges and the side walls here of our tray. So I'm going to start in the same place. I can always put my handle over there so that you won't see where I start and stop the rope. And I'm hot gluing this piece straight to the sides where it starts to go up on the pizza pan. All the way around. I found I could do about 1/4 of the pizza pan with my hot glue before it started to set up. And I was thinking one more row. So I'm going to continue that one on and glue this together. So a total of 4 rows of rope for the sides of my tray. I'm going to make sure that my end is right here on the side where all of my other ones were, so I can hide that later. And then I'm going to go back and kind of burn off any of the fuzzies. And this makes a perfect little tray. I have this great turkey that I found at Goodwill that I have to show you that I'm going to use to decorate this. I absolutely love it. Goodwill and thrift stores are a great place to find turkeys. You can always redo them if you need to. And I can find them there more often than I can even find turkeys at the store. Now for the handles, since I wanted to give it a slight fall touch, everything's been beachy so far, I decided to use the little burlap leaves from the Dollar Tree, these little oak leaves, and use the wire in them to kind of form handles because I can kind of arch it up like that. And then I can glue the tips of the leaf. I'm going to glue one right there where all of my ropes come together with hot glue, and then arch it up and then glue down the other side. Now, they're not the strongest handles in the world, but I think they'll work, and it was a fun way to add a little bit of fall to this tray. Now, if you wanted your little beachy tray to be something that you could use for any season, you could always make little tray handles with more rope. And you could even switch it up and maybe do like the white rope for handles. But I wanted mine to be a coastal fall tray. So that's why it's going to have little leaf handles. And the wire worked great to keep those kind of arched up. So I did the same thing on the other side, kind of reversing the direction to make them look like fallen leaves. And this is the turkey that I was talking about. How cool is this? I absolutely love this. I got this at Goodwill for like $2.99, and it looked like the original person had bought it at Kmart. So I miss that store. That was one of the best places to shop in my town. And I hate going to Walmart. I really miss not having Kmarts anymore. But it's absolutely so perfect. I love it. We're going to sit that on the back of our fall tray. That's going to be our like kind of main focal point. And then we can fill this up with some other fall and beachy items. I picked this up at the Dollar Tree today. It is a beautiful little bluish green pumpkin with fall leaves and fall flowers on it. It does not need anything. And I think that's going to be a great piece. And then I'm going to use a couple of pine cones to give it a little bit more of a fall touch. And then I found this little stacked ceramic pumpkins that says Be blessed, be thankful. So that's perfect for a little Thanksgiving tray. Then for coastal, I thought a Dollar Tree sand dollar, a Dollar Tree starfish would be cute, and just a seashell that I found at the beach. So I just wanted to show you how you could take coastal and Thanksgiving, mix them together and still get something really beautiful. And this little coastal fall tray, I think, is the perfect piece for decor. You can use this as a centerpiece for your Thanksgiving table, or you could sit this on your coffee table. I think that's where I will put mine for November. But I love, especially not skipping Thanksgiving, I always try to decorate for every season, and Thanksgiving is fun to decorate for too. But I think it turned out really cute. I think that little turkey is the star of the show. Great thrift find. Let me give you a little look around the tray so you can see exactly how everything looks. I didn't want to add too many items because I really love that coastal feel of the bottom of it with the palm fronds, but I think all the colors work together really nicely. You've made it all the way to the final reveal. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Staying with my video and watching it this long really helps the video get out to more people. And you can also help me by liking this video, comment your favorite Thanksgiving DIY below. And if you haven't subscribed, I'd really appreciate it. We just hit 22,000 subscribers and we're trying to get to 30,000. So enjoy the final reveal.
For better days to come and carry us like wind in our sails. Hold on tight, I can smell the shore, it's right in front of us if we just hold on tight. This vision that I saw is getting closer every dawn. We are dreamers of the shore. 7 years now on this boat, and we all know where we belong. Just wait. For our home to show on the horizon, soon we'll be there. Hold on tight, I can smell the shore, it's right in front of us if we just hold on tight. This vision that I saw is getting closer every dawn. We are dreamers of the shore when we can't read the sky. We just sail with the wind that we've got. And when we're drowning in doubt, just keep on believing. We are dreamers of the shore.
I want to give a huge thank you to the following Crafty Beach Fun members. Thank you to Karen O'Haron, Coastal Couple, Pamela Bergeron, I Am Mojo Jojo, Melinda Elizabeth, Jamie Job, Susan Edmonds, Sandra Ray, Carrie R., Tracy Knight, Verna Noctigal, Nancy Warner, Jan Zalata, Tammy Coates, Janae Farrington, Pamelia Wren, Butterfly Mama, and Maria Grace. Thank you so much for supporting my channel. I really appreciate each and every one of you. If you would like to join too, all you have to do is click the join button on my YouTube page, and it's $4.99 a month, and you can cancel any time. But I want to thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of this video. That helps as well. And if you'd like to watch more Crafty Beach, YouTube thinks you might enjoy this video right here.